CNT125 Routers and Routing Protocol Lab. We just got done looking at Ospf routing tables as well as Ospf packets on our sniffer. So this last podcast here, we're going to gather our stuff for submission. So I'm going to go to my 2011 router, go to my console connection here. Oops, get over there. There we go. Go to my console connection. And I want to do a show run. I want to see the running configuration on this router. I want to see this configuration with the IP addresses that you configured as well as Ospf. And we're going to save this configuration for submission to D2L. So I'm going to scroll up here to the beginning where I issued the show run command. I'm going to highlight all of it. And I'm going to right click, copy. And I'm going to open a new text file or a new notepad file. And I'll call this 125. I'll call this my 2811 Cisco 2011 router config. And I will paste that in. And I will save this. Again, I'll call it something like 125 Cisco 2811 config, something like that. Make sure to leave the TXT extension so D2L understands what it is. I'm then going to go to my other router and do the same thing. I will do a show run on this, spacebar to display it all. And then I'm going to highlight all of this. I will right click copy, open up a new text file. I'll put a note in here of like 125 Cisco, this is 4321 config, something of that nature. I will paste this in. I will save it. Again, I will call it, I'm going to highlight this and just call this one 4321. Make sure you have the .txt out there. Okay. Save that. So now I have both of my router configs saved. So there's, 2011. Here is my 4321. I also want to save my packet tracer file. So I will do a file save as. And again, I'll give it a name of something like my name routers lab, something like that. I'm going to do 125. CNT125, I'll do brown. You'll use your name. And then like routers lab. And make sure you're leaving the .pkt there. Okay. So I'm making sure I should have that now saved. Yeah, 125 routers lab.pkt. So I'm going to verify. Down here I have a list of what should be submitted. RIP routing table. So I'm going to open my files here. Here's my RIP routing table. Looks like I have a typo there I should fix. So I will fix that. Routing table. Good. I should have the Ospf routing table. Looks like I have a typo on that guy too. My goodness. Okay, so that one's good. We should have the 2011 config and the 4321 config, which I do. 2011, 4321. I should have my packet tracer file, which I do. He's right there, routers lab. And then I do have a couple questions I need to answer. These guys right here. So you'll make yourself, maybe even just highlight these guys. And I'll make a new text file for myself. And again, I'll say 125 routers lab questions, something of that nature. I'll paste those in, and then I can just answer these. Right there, put an answer. Right there, put an answer, etc. Okay. Now, real quickly with these guys, we want to be fairly specific. Use complete sentences. Show your stuff. First one, how's the router function network? Well, you want to be explaining that the router is receiving IP packets, reading IP addresses, consulting those IP addresses against this routing table to know where to route data. Okay, that kind of thing. Be specific. Use some full sentences there. RIP routing protocol, as we looked at it, that was our distance vector routing protocol. It's building a table, as we saw, was just distance and direction, how many routers away and what port I need to go to get there to route its traffic. And then as we looked at those IP addresses, thinking back, looking at those IP addresses, source and destination. Source was coming from the router. The destination was broadcast, going to everybody. Okay, and explain why that is significant. Ospf, this was our link state that we did, our link state routing protocol. This actually maintains a little bit better information in its routing table. It actually builds a little bit better routing table and communicates that information via multicast, which again is what we saw down here in number 5. The source IP was the router, so it was coming from the router, but the destination was a multicast. So it's not being broadcast out anymore. It's actually being sent pretty much directly to each of the routers in a multicast group. So again, explain those, save this. I'll give this a little save here, and I'll call this something like 125 routers lab questions or something like that, and save. And once I have that, I'm going to gather all my files. I'll grab all my text files here plus my packet tracer file, and I will submit those files to the Dropbox on D2L. If I go to D2L to the Dropbox, I'm going to this routers lab, and I will submit all those files. Okay. But at the end of any lab, look for this little summary to make sure you have all your pieces. Okay, I try to put that in every lab for you so you know that you have all your pieces. And notice, do this before you start closing any of this stuff out. That way you can easily get pieces while the lab is open and running, if you will. All right, so there is our routers and routing protocol lab.